What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So many of you Hogwarts Legacy fans must already have heard that there is not going to be a playable Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this is something where some people within the ecosystem have been able to get wind from people close to the Hogwarts Legacy project, and this is something that in the community is currently being discussed. I've taken some time to pay very close attention to all of what is going on. I think today, basically, the video that we got to see and even some of the reports came from Retro Rencontre regarding this particular topic. So it is not something that is a hidden secret anymore. It is out there that this is a big, huge possibility. Now, when listening to some of the conversations, I strongly believe that there is something that is an interesting piece to this conversation that really needs to be added to all of this that's going on. You see, one thing about a video game's own development cycle is developers usually are very honest with themselves. There's no way that they're going to go ahead and do a video game and pretty much put themselves in a position where they cannot deliver at least some of the things that they have already promised. So let's take a look at Hogwarts Legacy, this decision to not have a playable Quidditch right now, and the development constraints that must have actually inspired this decision, and why it's very important that if the developers are not going to be bringing this mode to the game, it's probably most likely a good thing. Now, the very first thing that we have to pretty much take into consideration is, if you want to talk about the full scale of the development of any game, resources are usually the very first thing that we would cite, especially for a big AAA studio like Avalanche, and then also having another studio that's working in tandem with them. But here is something that I feel is very important from a development side, and this is not my opinion. In fact, far be it from me to give an opinion on what is going to be necessary to be good for Hogwarts Legacy. Let's look at someone who's been in the industry for a very long time, who's prolific in their craft. We're going to take a look at Stefan Hill. This graph that I'm showing you is from a masterclass that he actually did for DICE developers in 2012. This graph actually he uses to represent something that is in regard to quality and features in a video game. The synopsis is very simple. Stefan Hill is in this particular treatment saying that your quality of your features in your game must at least be at the 100% mark. If you have a lot of features and some of them are not hitting that 90% mark, you really have to consider cutting a bunch of them in order for you to be able to get the quality out of the ones that are already reaching or getting closer to that 100%. And this is something that in many cases could be challenging. He does acknowledge it though in this particular, masterclass, that sometimes maybe your own publisher is not going to let you go ahead and just do that very simply. And if you go ahead and try to maybe get all of your other features to, somewhat get as good as they can, what you're going to have is a game with features that are kind of mediocre, but there are a whole bunch of them, rather than having a game that has very little set of features, but has very, very strong quality to all of that. Now, in going from this perspective, I strongly believe this is what Avalanche is taking on. They're going the direction where they probably want to go ahead and just synthesize, optimize, and make the existing systems clean. That's what I think Hogwarts Legacy is going to really thrive on. Clean, working systems that are free from bugs and that really do work and are enjoyable. Some of you may or may not know, a while ago, I think it was a few months ago, Avalanche put on their Twitter page, I think it was Warner Brothers or so that put on a Twitter page, a little bug that was actually in one of the game's little short clips, and they showcased this where an enemy AI was just spazzing. Their collision and their ragdoll physics was not working. So they put it out there as a joke for the community to see. These are things that are in video games whenever you're developing them, and quality assurance teams, developers, programmers, engineers are going to spend time working on these things until it's fine-tuned before the game is then released. So this one mode, or in a playable sense, is not going to in any way, in my opinion, harm the game if it's removed in order for other features within the game to reach that 100%. Puzzles, all kinds of different aspects of this particular game are necessary to create that experience. And I want to go ahead and say at the back end of this video, it's quite surprising in a pleasant way that a lot of people in the community, a lot of the fans are actually very understanding about this. Yes, there is something that I've seen a lot of people actually refer to, is that within the world of Harry Potter, not a lot of people played Quidditch anyways in a professional or even in an amateur level. And so it didn't necessarily seem to affect much. And so this is a really good thing. It seems fans are involved with this particular mode. There are also other considerations that are out there where people have said, you know, what if it's something that they bring back later down the road? In all honesty, I don't know how that is going to add more to the game. I think one thing about a game like this is lore, narrative, and other gameplay mechanics. I think these are the things that would probably make this game shine. So if there's an extension to the universe, this is more than likely something that needs to be put in place for the game. Now, again, if you want to say, okay, well, couldn't it be that it's something that comes later in the future? I strongly still suggest that we probably don't need to focus on that, because a game like this is all about growth and, you know, having the character get really strong. So what that might mean is adding variety of spells and abilities that we probably didn't necessarily think we'd see to the character as the character is progressing, and as we're having more and more, if that's what the developers want to do anyways, more plot lines or maybe even DLC or even maybe expansions, and they continue to expand the library of each and every character within the game from a gameplay perspective. So this is really cool for me, in my opinion. I really am happy that the developers are prioritizing what's necessary. When the game launches, is there going to be an aspect where you can play the game and then have to play a new game plus? Is that something that's going to be available at launch, or are we going to have to wait? These are questions that we still have that the developers have not necessarily mentioned. And if removing one game mode is going to make that a possibility, then so be it. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I know people feel differently about this, but I think if this is the case, and I say with a grain of salt because this is still a rumor so far, then I think it is a wise choice from the developers. Thanks for watching the video. I really do appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk very soon. Peace out.